As Vincenzo grew from a boy to a man, he never lost sight of the dream. Vincenzo worked and saved his money to pay for lessons for his violin.
He's doing it again. Thinking about everything except what he's supposed to be doing.
There were those who told him that his dream was impossible, that it could never be achieved.
Still believes he's going to be famous. Ladies and gentlemen, the famous, one and only, time-wasting, daydreaming, broom pusher.
But he remembered the words of the old master on the boat. Do you really believe you can? That is the key to unlocking your opus.
Vincenzo! Sweep the floor, boy! Sweep!
Vincenzo gained courage and continued forward.
How do I get started? You just get started. Most people wait. They're waiting for their time. Wait till I know more. Wait till I do more. Wait till I learn more. Wait till my time is right. Your time is now. So just get started.
You can't sit on the couch and eat potato chips and expect things to happen. You visualize and you materialize, yes, but you must act. A mediocre plan today is far better than a perfect plan tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes.
We all know that New Year's resolutions last 30 days or 3 weeks or 3 days or for some people 3 hours. And that's a result of this great commitment. And what I want people to do is to step back and, interestingly enough, to essentially dial it down. Focus on what you can do, not what you could do.
If you can't get the big picture, start with the small stuff.
A decision isn't something you take lightly. It isn't a wish or simply saying, I'd like to. There will be no power in it until you say with clarity, I will do it, and attach that commitment to some action. What will you do to get things started?
I'm a big believer in planning. Partly because my first career was in the television industry. And if you don't plan a program, you're asking for a disaster. And that's not to say that you set a plan down that's absolutely rigid, but you put a plan down that you can then change and adjust as you need to when you're going through the production.
Same thing with the writing of the music. I start with an end in mind in terms of how I want to feel, but I don't have every note already written in my head. That's what makes this process so fun and creative, because the minute you feel like you have to go here because that's where you said you were going to go in the first place, the song has to sound like this because that was my original vision, you cut off all sorts of possibility.
You don't have to know everything before you get started. Top achievers never have all the answers, and they also don't wait for all the answers to come until they get started. They just get started. They don't let questions paralyze them. They understand how to face the unknown and have the courage to do new things without all the answers. They know that the answers will come, and they adjust their course with each step forward that they take. Most of the answers come in the action, not in the calculating. You've got to learn that too. When you're up against the unknown, remember this phrase. Top achievers are not perfectionists. They're improvisers. Get started.
It's hard to start. It's scary. And I know I've seen in my own life that some people they're just waiting for everything to be perfect. There is no perfect time. You never have a perfect plan. But you need to move forward. If you're convinced and you're passionate, it will develop. Have some faith. It can happen. It will happen. You got to stay positive, but you got to keep moving forward. And you got to keep moving forward knowing you don't have all the answers.
I wanted to be a fighter pilot my entire life, but back in 1986 there was an experience which pretty much dashed my hopes up against the rocks. Back in 1986, the movie Top Gun came out, and you'd think that would be a source of motivation for me, but really what it was everybody else at that point now wanted to do the same thing that I wanted to do. Everyone wanted to become a fighter pilot because they all wanted to be just like Maverick. And what I knew back then was I was a pretty average guy. I knew that the people who were ahead of me were smarter, faster, they were stronger. And I thought, man, I'm not going to be able to do this anymore because all these people now want to do what I want to do. You know, we're being honest here, so I'll just tell you, I mean, I failed kindergarten. And I don't know if you know what it takes to pass kindergarten, but you basically need to be able to stack blocks and not eat glue, okay? I mean, that's pretty much about it. So I failed kindergarten. I know that I'm a pretty average guy, okay? And I look at all these people who are ahead of me and I'm thinking, man, there's no way I'm going to be able to make it. But, you know, I followed through with my dreams and I pressed on. And what I realized through that experience was that I may have been in the 5th percentile on the bottom, but the 95% of the people who were above me never took any action.
Often people have a great idea and they get excited about it and they go, wow, I'm going to go do this. But you know something? They don't do it. They think about it, they get excited about it, maybe for an hour, maybe for a day, maybe even for a week or a month, but it dies. They don't take action. They're really not committed. They're really not passionate for it. It's like a passing idea. And so one of the things to be successful, one of the most important things to be successful is, okay, you've got a dream, you've got a vision, you've got plans, and now you've got to go for it.
If you believe in something fully, you take action. I always tell people the last 6 letters of the word attraction spell action. And most people are focusing on this part and they're not doing the doing this. So when you believe that it's going to happen and you're visualizing clearly and you're holding all that energy, what'll happen is you'll start attracting to you not necessarily the car, but opportunities, strategies, resources, books, etc. that will come into your life.
If you don't take action, you won't get the results. You must take action. It may be very small, it may be very big. It's what I call inspired action because it's something that's coming from within you. You get a little knock at the door that says, attend this seminar, go to this movie, buy this particular book, whatever it happens to be. Your part in this co-creation process is to do it.
I was successful really in a lot of ways just because I went and did it. I took action. And so you're sitting here today, you've got a dream, you've got a goal, you've got an aspiration, you might have an invention, $1 million idea. And what's sitting between you and the execution of your dreams can be simply summed up in this: take action, implement. You grab the bull by the horns, you put the throttles up in afterburner, you live your life at the edge of the envelope, and you will be successful.
Vincenzo continued seeking additional understanding and education wherever he could, surrounding himself with other masters who could help him find his gift and develop his passion. This required effort and work. As he practiced and persevered, his skills became more fine-tuned, and the instrument began to sing.
Whatever you want to do, whether you're an athlete, whether you're in business, whether you're a pilot, if you want to be successful, there are heroes, there are masters, there are people who have been successful before you who will be willing to teach you how to get where you want to be. You don't need to fly solo in this life.
If you have any goal that you want to achieve in your life, the first thing I would invite you to do is surround yourself with people who believe in what you do. And sometimes those people, they're not your family, they're not your friends, they're not your coworkers. You actually have to create that. You have to create your own, what I call your own mastermind, your own board of directors of people who will support you.
My adage is that if I'm ever in a room with 5 people, I want to be the dumbest one in the room. I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. I want to be the dumbest one in the room. If I'm the smartest guy in the room, then I'm not listening to anybody. Then I think I already know it. Then I think they're not capable of teaching, training, sharing, or giving me anything of value. But if I think I'm the dumbest one in the room, then all 4 of them are brighter than I am. And I can learn from any one of them. And what that causes me to do is to shut up and sit down. And get a chance to learn, because most of us are talking so much, we aren't listening.
I like the idea of modeling other people's success up until the point where you reach something that, hey, this isn't me. It's not me to model this guy like that. Because if you try, it will not work. You'll send out this really weird field of resistance and things will not work for you, no matter how successful that other person is. So I model lots of people, but not one particular person. I will look for things that they do and say, I can incorporate that into my plan for sure. This guy over here, no, not so much. This is where I leave him and go to somebody else.
Whenever there is greatness, there is also adversity. When we work, there will be obstacles. Vincenzo's obstacle came when he turned 17. One day, as he was walking to his teacher's to practice his violin, he found that his vision began to blur. Soon, there were great dark spots appearing before his eyes. And one day, he woke up totally blind. He could not see. This proved to be a big adversity.
On March 10, 1981, I thought I had the world by the tail. I was Mr. Egotistical. I was self-centered. I was center of the whole universe, and so I thought. I was very successful. I'd gone into the life insurance business, making a lot of money. Had a nice home, had a nice car, had a wife. You know, I was living the American dream, and so I thought. And then I went and bought myself an airplane. The next day I took off in that airplane for a little pleasure trip just to check it out. Then in that day, my whole life changed. I had a power failure. When I was landing, the engine failed. I had some power lines and crashed.
I was just entering my senior year, and I wasn't really going out much. We had moved to a new town, and I was feeling a bit awkward in my skin. I went out, and I met someone. I thought, oh, he's the one, and ended up pregnant in my senior year. And if you want to be judged, I was going into a school where there were nuns, and they were convinced, and so was my entire school system, that found out I was pregnant in my senior year, that I was going to go to someplace with the letter H and 3 letters that followed. And it took me a long time to regain my self-esteem. And so my life started out as a pregnant teenage runaway.
When I was born, my parents didn't know that I was didn't think that I was going to be a little person, of course. So that was a big surprise. And they had some difficulty with it, some challenges with it. Then I went off to school, and I had challenges with kids there, teasing me, calling me names, stuff like that.
4 days later, I woke up in the hospital. I was in coma 4 days, and I was in bad shape. My neck was broken at the first and second cervical vertebrae, and my spinal cord was crushed. The nerves that control my diaphragm were destroyed, and I couldn't breathe. My swallowing through your flesh was destroyed, and I couldn't eat or drink. My larynx and voice box were crushed. Every muscle in my body was destroyed. I couldn't do anything but blink my eyes. My bowel, blood, and kidneys didn't have function. I lay there for 8 months in that hospital. All I could do was blink my eyes. The doctor said it was hopeless.
I prayed that I could learn something through this experience, and maybe one day I could help others through it. Well, I gave birth to a little baby girl, and I kept that little baby girl for 5 months. And it was a tough 5 months. It was a tough road to hoe. I worked 3 jobs, and I couldn't really make my ends meet. One day I made a decision to place her for adoption. And when I did that, and the lady came and took her away and drove away with my baby, I thought I was the worst sinner on planet Earth. And it took a long time for me to regain self-esteem and to come to know myself, that I was a valuable person and I was a valuable part of this society.
And in 4th grade, a turning point came for me, one of the first ones, when I realized that being a little person wasn't something that, wasn't a costume that I could take off one day, that actually I was going to be a little person for the rest of my life. And my friends were now at least 1.5 to 2 feet taller than me. I wasn't just the short kids in the class. I was now significantly different.
8 months later, I walked out of the hospital on my own 2 feet. The doctor said it was impossible, but I walked out of there. But that wasn't the end of the journey. That was just the beginning, because I had 5 more years of intense occupational physical therapy.
So I went to work, And when I went to work, I decided I was going to make something of myself. And maybe one day I'd see that little girl again, and maybe I'd be able to be an example, a living example of something wonderful.
One day I was sitting with my teacher for spiritual and personal growth, and he said to me, you know, Peggy, I noticed that you spend a lot of time in this fantasy that one day you're going to wake up like an average-sized person, or as an average-sized person, and all your problems are going to be gone. But that's not really so realistic. And I bet your success level would be much higher if instead you focus on the things that you can change. The things like your attitude, your beliefs, your connection to spirit, all those kinds of things. So that was a turning point for me. And I actually looked at that and I was like, oh my God, I'm believing in this fantasy. And I had to come to terms with the fact that I had to accept that I couldn't change my outer size. But I saw that I could change my inner size.
See, it didn't matter what the doctors thought. It didn't matter what the medical profession thought. It didn't matter what other people thought or believed. What really mattered was what I believed. See, a lot of people think, well, I can't do this, I can't do that, because everybody tells them they can't do that. And I tell them it doesn't matter what other people tell them, it matters what they think.
Well, last year on Mother's Day, now we're talking 27 years after that day when that lady drove away with that baby, I got a call from guess who? My little daughter, Jackie. And she said, on the telephone, could I call you Mom? That was huge. That was huge for me. And I don't care what happened to you in your life. If someone told you you're a sinner and you're so down and out that you think you're nothing and you're a nobody, you're a somebody. You find it within yourself and you get up. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You get out there and do good works. Jackie and I have become real good friends today. And I thank God she's a valuable part of this life. You know, I barely finished high school. Today I sat on the Harvard Women's Leadership Board.
Were the times I was down, were the times that maybe the vision started to fade a little bit. You know, I'd be dishonest if I said they weren't. Of course there were times. But I didn't stay focused on that very long. See, it's okay to let yourself get down, but it's not okay to stay down.
I have gone from the depths of darkness to the height of amazing, amazing joy and even ecstasy. I always say that I used to cry every day out of sadness. Now I cry most days out of joy.
Vincenzo continued to practice his instrument. But it was much harder now. The music didn't come as easily. Often the notes didn't sound right. Often the people near him told him he was failing. He began to feel like he was failing.
I can't.
Vincenzo had given up. He felt like he had been robbed of the gift he had been given. His heart ached as he approached the entrance to the merchant's store.
Hi, Vincenzo! A surprise. What brings you here?
I'd like to sell my violin.
Those were the most painful words that he had ever spoken.
Are you certain about that? Well, let's have a look, shall we? Oh my. Isn't this the same violin I sold you many years ago? And you want to bring it back to me? Yes, I do. Well, I'm certain you've kept it in fine condition. But I really have to know that it works. So, would you do me a small favor, Vincenzo?
What's that?
I wonder if you would play a little bit for me, Vincenzo.
I don't have my music with me.
Sometimes we don't need sheet music. Sometimes music is in the soul. So, just once for me?
Reluctantly, Vincenzo took the violin and, placing it properly in position under his chin, he began to play. He began playing slowly at first, until his heart began to play the notes. As he did, something magical began to happen. He began to feel the power of the music once again. When he had finished, a change had taken place, and there was hope.
I can't sell you my violin.
I thought as not. You keep the violin, Vincenzo. You play, all right?
Vincenzo left the shop with a resolution that he would never again give up on his dream.
اللي تقول لك انا دايما بخش جوب انترفيوز وما بنجحش ابدا وهخش دلوقتي وناس هتقول لي يلا روح، ويخش وناس تقول له يلا روح. الحاجات دي ماهيش صدف، الحاجات دي انت بتجذبها ليك، وسواء انت فاهم قانون الجذب او مش فاهمه، انت في كل الاحوال بتجذب افكارك فعلا.
لو انت تفكر تشتري عربيه معينه، او انت اشتريت العربيه دي، او واحد صاحبك اشترى العربيه دي، تقوم انت ماشي في الشارع تشوف نفس العربيه بنفس اللون. عقلك بيشوف الاف العربيات كل يوم، بيحذفهم، بيركز على العربيه دي.
احنا مغناطيس، والكون ده كتالوج، فانت طول الوقت الحاجات اللي بتفكر فيها انت بتجذبها ليك. فتخيل بقى لو انت قررت بعد ما تشوف الفيلم ده ان انت تتحكم شويه في افكارك وتجذب ليك اللي انت عايزه بدل ما تجذب اللي انت مش عايزه.
ميزه قانون الجذب اول حاجه انه بيخليني اركز على هدف. اذا كان الهدف ده مشروع عايز اعمله، اذا كان واحده بحبها، اذا كان اي حاجه، ففي كل حال من الاحوال الجذب فيه حاجه في الاول تركيز.
قانون الكلي في الكون اللي بدأوا يضعوا أساسيات في الأربعينات والخمسينات، أينشتاين وبلانك وعلماء كتير قالوا لنا إن كل حاجة في الكون هي عبارة عن طاقة، وكل شيء معمول من الطاقة له ذبذبة. وأخطر ما ذكروه في القانون ده إن الذبذبة دي حتى أفكارنا لها طاقة لها ذبذبة، وكلماتنا لها طاقة ولها ذبذبة.
لما بتفكر اكشلي الصوت بتاعك له تردد. التردد ده عامل زي بالظبط محطات تلفزيون، لما انت بتجيب محطة من الساتلايت وتمسك الريموت وتقرر تجيب محطة، وبعدين تغير التردد تجيب محطة تانية. فالترددات بتاعتك كمان لما بتبعتها انت للكون بترجع لك بويفز مغناطيسية بالحاجة اللي انت فكرت فيها.
إذن الأفكار دي بتتناغم مع ما يمثلها في الكون وتلف وترجع عليه.